Welcome to the Tent Talk podcast with Duff and Beats. Get ready to ride the waves of excitement as we dive into all things surf sports and the Shaw and Partners World Ocean Series. Now, let's dive in. This is Tent Talk with Duff and Beats. It's Tent Talk time. It's Tent Talk time. It's Tent Talk time. It's Tent Talk time.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Tent Talk podcast. With the new rebrand, we've got the hats on, we've got the new rebrand happening. The Slewers and Jaggers out there, if you like to know them, Box, how we doing?
Good, mate. Not my name. Good to be back in this studio. Very excited. We're down in actually Sydney, as you can probably tell, in the Shaw and Partners HQ. And we got actually Reno sitting on the ground, which is pretty hilarious. But more importantly, the guest we got in the studio, Australian Ironman Champion, Kellogg Series Ironman Champion. He's done it. He's won it all. The best looking bloke in a pair of Dick Togs, Kendrick Louis. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks, boy. That was very kind of you.
Yeah, that's
don't wear them anymore, though.
We just did we just did a little warm up with you as well. The String of Nine, new segment that we're running. 9 fast, rapid fire questions and shake a few of the nerves off and roll on into it. So, Kenj, we're going to start right at the very top. You would listen to the podcast at all?
Absolutely.
Yep. So you know the tense up, tense down segment well then.
Yeah, it's
Very
good.
We're going to roll into some tense up, tense down. I'm going to lead the charge here. My tense up is that the name, the star of Kendrick Louis came across my life a lot earlier than, I guess, the 2013 first series win. I was a Western Sydney boy growing up and obviously a big pool background, swimming background, personally myself. And I had an older brother, Matt Duffy. And every swim carnival that Matt Duffy would have to go to, he would have to race one Kendrick Louis and would get an absolute hiding from him. So a little bit of a blast from the past. If my older brother Matt's listening, then he'll be having nightmares still of Kendrick Louis whooping him in the pool. So that's my tense up. A little bit of a blast from the past, a little bit of family ties.
Beauty.
Ken, you got one?
Tense up. Look, it's hard to go past seeing the birth of my second child.
Yeah.
Congratulations
from the pod.
Yeah, thank you. Just, hats off to my beautiful wife, Holly. She's absolute trooper.
Yep.
Wasn't an easy pregnancy, so to come out the other side the way she did, it's tense up for me.
Isn't it just absolutely magical but so brutal? I don't think men could do it. I know personally I couldn't survive it.
Yeah, I think one thing that I always say to people is, mate, you think an Ironman's hard? Try and putting a baby to sleep. Let alone carrying one for 9 months and growing it and
It's so funny because been chatting with Holly just to get a little bit of insight on you and you've had a bit of a chaotic house the last week or two, a bit of sickness and illness going around, and I think it was a few expletives this morning on the way out of the house.
Oh yeah. Let's not go there.
Yeah, Box, you got a tense up?
I do, mate. I got a couple. Just the clubbies around the world at the moment. Kayaking, Nat Drobot, Liv Clues, all the kayaking boys over there doing their thing at the moment. And then obviously swimming, Lani Palisto won the 4x2. She got, I think it's third in the 15. Sam Shaw got second in the 4, got knocked down by injury for the 8, which was disappointing because I think he was going to win that. So, the clubbies overseas at the moment doing their thing's pretty impressive. And there was actually one quick one I wanted to share. I was watching some swimming yesterday at work. It's part of my job, don't stress. And I was looking at some of the profiles for the World Athletic Champs, and I stumbled on Cam McAvoy, who obviously we work with quite closely. And in his profile, his hobbies, do you know what was number one?
Reading scientific novels.
Wrong. It was surf lifesaving.
There you go.
So even the fastest man in the world, his hobby is still surf lifesaving.
I reckon we're going to have to get him on one day.
Yeah, we'd love to.
We have to get him on. I think we could do a good series like that. Bring in some old
some
clubbies. OGs. The NRL one's a perfect example. Where they every time Damien Cook touches the ball, he's a beach flagger. So we get him on. Cam McAvoy, Tanner Boyd was a clubbie as well. There's a Wallabies fly half at the moment. There was a Northcliffe Junior. So we could have a good series like that.
Mate, I'd get Cam's coach onto Tim Lane.
Yeah.
I swam under him for a few years.
Yeah.
Mate, absolute weapon. He's just a silent assassin.
He's brilliant, eh?
Yeah, he knows his stuff and he trusts the athlete. So
shout out Tim Lane.
Yeah.
You got any tense down?
No aircon
Besides
in
the
this media
aircon
room.
in here, it's
No aircon.
burning up like a Jonas Brothers.
There's 4 blokes in a 3x3 space. It's
I can understand
hot.
why Earl and Dean did a 15-minute announcement at Doggo Race Week because it is hot.
Yeah, Dino was in a pair of slides and
Sluggos.
you couldn't see under the desk.
Yeah.
I don't have any tense down. No.
I'm going to go Jetstar. They just gave us a hard time this morning. We thought we got away with a few things. Ended up paying more than our budget probably allowed. So we got stung a couple of $100
Yeah.
on the way through. So I guess that's our bad, but Jetstar just very stringent and very unrelenting in their rules was brutal.
Yeah, I started thinking about that when we got stung with the baggage, and it was like that was 4% of our entire budget on bag allowance. So
we're gonna be on noodles and waters and maybe a bit of sleep for dinner.
yeah, we might be able to share one beer this afternoon if we're
beautiful.
lucky. Let's roll straight into it then. Let's start very beginning. You're a Collaroy nipper, Newport, then you end up at Mooloolaba. Let's talk through the early days and finish up at Mooloolaba.
Yeah, mate. Early days, I grew up in Newport, so did a few early years at Newport Nippers until we went to Collaroy at probably the age of 11. Mate, it's where I cut my teeth. I like you mentioned earlier, had a pool swimming background. My parents wanted me to get familiar with the ocean, like all parents. They get you into nippers, and I surfed as well, so I knew how to paddle a board. Not those kind of boards, but it didn't take me long. And mate, from under 10s there all the way through to 1 or 2 years in opens, I came right through the ranks. There was a really good, kind of bunch above me. I think 1 age or 2 age below me was Trimmy. So it was myself, my 2 brothers, Trimmy and another guy, Pat Nickel. We kind of went all the way through to opens together. Mate, we were pretty much a one-man band with our team events, us 3. We had a few older guys, Matt Giddos and Greg Armstrong, a few guys like that in it that formed an open taplin. But it was mainly us young few, a couple of older boys on the ski paddlers. And, mate, it was some of the greatest years of my life. I look back and I think when I was, probably the happiest I've been in surf lifesaving was purely because I was probably living at home.
Bit easier.
I was living at home, had no worries in the world. I'd drive to training with my brothers every day. You train hard with your mates. Back then, we were training with Collaroy, Queenscliff, Freshwater. There was all clubs had come
Bit of
together.
communal type
Yeah,
thing.
all the kind of Sydney Northern Beaches clubs would train together. Tommy Atkinson and his brothers would lead the charge there. So that was just a really fun part. We'd swim with all the Manly crew, like Floody and all those guys back then. It was great banter. It was just really, really good time of my life. And then from there,
Before you go to Mooloolaba, did I read or hear correctly that you had a deep fear of the ocean as a kid?
yeah, so up until probably the age of like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
The younger years, there's parts of it that I obviously don't remember, but recall my parents telling me is we were at a barbecue and I fell in the pool as a 2-year-old. Back then, I think everything was a bit more relaxed. I fell in the pool as a 2-year-old. I was on the bottom step, like mouth open, eyes open, just swallowing water. My older brother pulled me out of the pool, essentially saved my life.
Wow.
And then probably for the next 5-6 years from then on, I was just petrified. It was. My dad would try really hard, get me on his surfboard and push me through a shorey and get in the ocean. And I was just, I just could not do it. Again, he was persistent, patient and kept it going little bits at a time. And, kind of got me into learn to swim and all that sort of stuff. And then by, probably the age of 8 or 9, it was just like, okay, cool. I've learned how to swim and now I'm more confident. And we'd go to the beach and I was kind of like one of the first ones in the water.
Yeah. Cool.
It was it's ironic where I am
Yeah,
now.
that's right. Yeah.
But I can actually relate now having a 3-year-old boy. If he doesn't want to go in the ocean, that's okay.
Yep.
So I'll just jump in, Duff. So, like, Kenj, obviously, like you shared that time at Collaroy, which is really sentimental and valuable for you. Being scared of the water growing up, like, when did it transition from, like, I'm scared of the water, and then you start doing it, and then you're like, hang on, I'm actually in love with this sport. I want to make a life out of it. Like, how does that all happen? Where did that start, and what age was that a decision?
Yeah, it was probably like like I touched on when I was grew up in Newport. So we did a couple of years as nippers at Newport, right? But this is not the Newport that we know it is today.
Yeah.
It was, they barely had any boards in their board sheds. They had a pink and yellow foamies, those ones you surf on when the surf's up. And if the surf was above 1 foot, they'd take you to learn to paddle the board in the rock pool down the end. So like even then, it wasn't like a confidence building thing. There, it was. It just took time. Parents just put me into like swimming and swimming lessons, and then all of a sudden we joined a swim club down at North Narrabeen at the rock pool there, and every Sunday morning, rain, hail or shine, bloody swimming up and down the pool. And then it just became competitive. Like my older brother Howie was a you know, he was the good swimmer in the family, and as a younger brother, middle brother, wanted to knock him off his perch. I just became competitive and wanted to beat him.
Cool.
You get to. Okay, so I think we're back. Which is we took the band on tour, and I tell you what, this tour is
It's growing pains, mate.
after we thought we got away with it at the gate, and we didn't think we were going to have to pay some baggage, overweight baggage. It has just been downhill since then. We've run into technical issue after technical issue, but luckily, Kenj, you're here, and we're still rolling. We're still there.
We've still got the camera on him, so it's all right. Everything's okay.
We've got the money shot. So, Kenj, you're finishing up your journey in New South Wales for now, and you make the move, or you make a decision to move up to the Sunshine Coast there with Michael King and that squad at Mooloolaba. How does that decision come about? And just tell us a bit about your time up there.
Yeah, I think it kind of like, I started thinking about it the other day. How did that even come about? And it was I'd go to Aussies every year, and you know, in the most humble way possible, I had a really strong swim leg, right, as a junior coming through the ranks.
Yep.
So like when I was standing on the line in an Ironman race, I knew that like I'll give anyone whatever head start, I'll catch them. And then all of a sudden I started seeing Ali just getting a little bit closer to me, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I used to spank that bloke. Anyway, and then I just like kind of kept watching and just going like, all right, this guy's starting to actually threaten me for a win here. And it wasn't till, and I was close with Paulie, and Paulie's like, oh, didn't you know he's been up training with us for like the last 12 weeks? He comes up like 12 weeks of a year and trains with us here at Mooloolaba. And then I started seeing him. He made the series and then finished top 6 in the series, and I was like, wow, like
something's happening.
Okay, yeah, I've been caught napping here. And that's when I thought, I was like, you know what, I'm going to approach Kingy and see if I can maybe go up there for a training stint. How
did that conversation go? Was it I'm looking for something new, I want to get an extra bit of an edge, I can see how well the squad's going?
A little bit. My first year in the series, I kind of went up there. We had a round at Coolum, and Paulie's like, come stay with me, mate, leading into Coolum.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it was. Again, like, you know, you look at Bevy now, right? I went and stayed with Paulie for a couple of nights, raced. He actually won that round. That was the first round he won. And I thought, oh, this is pretty cool up here as a young kid. I'm like, you know, everything revolves around clubbies, and I could kind of see myself fitting in up here all right at this age. Again, then the topic came back to I finished school, did my carpentry trade, and my parents were very strict on, hey, you're not leaving until you've got something behind you, which I'm so glad they did. And then, yeah, once I had that behind me, I called Kingy and I was like, look, I'd really love to do the trial this year. I'd love to come up. Had a bit of a plan as to like, I'll come up for, 10 weeks, or no, not even, I think I looked at it like, I'll come up for, 4 weeks, train with you, go home for a couple of weeks. And then the last 3 weeks leading into the trial, I'll come up and do another 3. And he's like, yeah, mate, no dramas, right? And anyway, so pretty much drove my car up there. My mum drove up with me. Mind you, I was dating Holly at this time, so she's like, all right, we'll go see how it is. And then I got up there and settled into training pretty well. I knew Jack, I knew Paulie, I knew Ali, and I think Bevy had just got there, and I met Bevy and we gelled quite well. And then, I was probably a week into training, and Kingy pulled me aside and said, hey, mate, just want to let you know that like you're going to have to join the club.
I was waiting for this.
You're going to have to join the club if you want to stay up here.
Yep.
The boys aren't happy with you training and then moving home.
Yep.
And I was like, it really took me off guard. Because I was like, mate, I've just like, we've agreed on something, and now we're kind of like shifting the goalpost. I wasn't like, to be honest, I wasn't a fan of that at all. Anyway, Kingy and I went and had lunch, and we settled on something where I said, look, hey, how about we stick to the plan? If I make it through the series, make it through the trial and make the series, I'll join the club. And then that was a compromise, and he's like, yep, done. So yeah, we stuck to that plan. I made it through the trial, and then relocated kind of everything up to the Sunshine Coast.
Enormous. And then
how tricky is that stage? Because like, what are you at this age, 20 years old? Like, you got to move your life up to the Sunshine Coast, finding jobs, all that sort of stuff. How tricky is that of a move?
Well, I was 22.
Yeah.
And I only knew boys I trained with. The only other person I knew was Sam Jono, and Sam at the time was at Mooloolaba Surf Club. I think she was moving to the Goldie, or had just moved to the Goldie, and she said, hey, my parents have got a place at Caloundra. You can stay there for as long as you need until you find somewhere, whatnot. And so, yeah, I stayed there for a good couple of months. And that was just like, that was awesome. Right?
Yeah.
It was super cool. And then, driving to Mooloolaba 30 minutes each way and back every day, like to swim training and home, to ski training and home. If I wanted to go to the gym, it was up again. So there was a lot of driving. Anyway, training one day up at Mooloolaba, met a fella by the name of Jackson Doolan. Him and I got on really well. And anyway, he's like, mate, do you want to come over for dinner tonight? And I was like, yep, no dramas, how good. And I went and had dinner with him, and he's like, oh, well, it's getting pretty late. Like, there's a room there if you want to stay there. And, I just let Sam's mum know that I'm not coming home. I'm going to stay here for the night. And then, yeah, one thing led to the next. I got to, hang out with Jacko a fair bit, and his mum, Larissa, and dad, Greg, just said, look, there's a spare room there. We can work out an arrangement, and you can stay here.
Awesome.
He's going to absolutely love that name drop on the pod, because I know Sooty, when we mentioned it a couple of episodes back with the Pooley one, and Sooty got a mention, he was right there in the group chat, and he was giving it to the boys. I got a mention. So I think Dools will be really happy with that one. He'll be happy he got a mention on the pod.
Yeah, well, I think I'm, and I know we'll get to this, but I think a part of that squad at Mooloolaba was more than just what everyone knows of, like, the top athletes, the best stable of Ironman and this going around. It's like, there were athletes that were, great board paddlers like Dane Windshuttle and Ben Hepburn and Jackson Doolan and, Alex Tibbetts, James Wilkie. There were all these guys that were, around the fringes. They weren't Ironmen, but they were really good blokes to hang out with, and that actually athletes. Formed a great culture. Yeah, and when you'd go to a clubby carnival, you'd be in, my board relay was that I won my first Aussie board relay was with Bevy before Bevy was Bevy, Cam Cole and myself, and we were a B team.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, there's a world where that's a B team.
Well, I think that's it. Like, it's our era, so we understand the magnitude and the strength of that squad. Maybe not while it was happening, but now looking back, you can see the strength of that squad and what it was across the men and the women. But I guess for those now, the young up and comers coming through, and maybe it's something that they've missed there in the history of surf lifesaving. But that squad at Mooloolaba, I don't know, I get a real nostalgic feel about it, because there are some greats and Australian champions, world champions, series champions, young and old, Coolangatta Gold champions that have come out of that squad. Did you know how good you had it when you were there at the time?
Yes and no. I knew that we had something special when you're turning up to training every session. You're nervous.
That's cool. That's really cool.
There's good things that are going to come out of training in that environment. I was up at Noosa the other day for work, and said to one of the boys, I said, man, I've got this weirdest nostalgic, nervous feeling. Like, I'm driving past the Sunshine Coast Airport, past Mooloolaba, I'm like, bloody nervous. Like,
that's so
I hate this feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I'm looking out at Mooloolaba going, yeah, we used to do 15K time trials on the ski, wash leads, and then we'd go into, 7 or 8 1K efforts running, and it was just as hard as you can run with Josh Minogue just, leading the charge. And it was just every session was just on. Like, it was on. And you can imagine tempers were high, output was high. You were trying to rest as much as you can. Boys were trying to keep cards close to their chest. Yeah. But yet any spare minute, you're like, hey, let's go for a coffee. It was, and also too, back then, like, we weren't, we weren't looking at food as like fuel either. It was like how much you can get in. There was no like, hey, I'm eating this way or that way. It was, it was just, we were just training hard, really.
Yeah. What was balancing those friendships like? Like, I'm sure we'll touch on it again a bit later, but like you said that you rocked up nervous every session, but you still tried to manage time for a coffee and stuff. Was that a really tricky dynamic for all you guys at a similar age, at a similar skill set, all striving to be the best and then still trying to be friends off the water? Like, what's that like for you guys?
Yeah, I think it does get tricky. That's why it was really cool to have those other guys like the Windshuttles and Doolan and Wilkie and those guys around, because it was like,
break the tension up a bit.
Man, if I just wanted time to go, like James Wilkie, another guy like you boys are familiar with, but him, I'd just ring him and go, mate, let's go down to Be Fresh and we'll have a coffee and lunch, and we just talk crap, right? Yeah. And he was a carpenter as well, so him and I just, we could talk about that. We talk about anything. It was my kind of time to escape. Yep. And then when we're, you can imagine it, right? You finish a Wednesday afternoon, it's an iron session with Kingy. And then Thursday morning's like pretty cruisy in the pool. It was like boxing or swimming in the pool, and the boys were like, let's go for a coffee tonight. We'd go up to Starbucks up at Mooloolaba there. And but again, all you talk about is, apparently so-and-so is flying. This and then
that takes its toll, man. Like, is that exhausting to be around all the time?
As a 22-year-old, mate, I was thriving, right?
Yeah.
But looking back now, it's like, mate, don't talk to me about clubbing stuff. You know? But sure. Yeah, it was, I think it was like we kept each other on our toes. We kept each other accountable. You know, there was one session that stands out so clearly, was we did off Mooloolaba Beach. You go out to the back of the shark nets, and then we do a race around Millionaires Island, which is where, you know, Jet Kenny lives. And and it's probably a 25-minute paddle, and then you finish back at the shark net. And it was a time trial. It was go for it, race as hard as you can. And I remember it so clearly, man. And it just Ali let it out. I sat on his wash the whole way.
Yep.
And it's at the last 200-300 meters, I like put on a spurt.
Yeah.
And you know, he got to the finish, and anyway, walking up, he just walked straight in the shed, ski away, walked out, didn't even say bye.
Yeah.
Wouldn't speak to me for a week. And look, man, that was the environment we're in.
Yeah.
Right. And like, you don't hold it personal. It's just, you know, there was a lot of training. We were tired and tempers were high. We were on edge. You know.
Yep. There's been a story shared on the podcast before. It was either King or Poole that shared it in their episodes. And it was a particular, I think it was a Coolangatta Gold prep session. Steve Turner, NRL Bulldogs player, great, was there on the beach in attendance. And it almost come at the end of the session, I guess, from the tense environment that you were in there, come to a brouhaha, a bit of fisticuffs between you and Paulie. Now, we've heard one side of the story.
Yeah.
Is there another part of the story? There's always two sides to every story.
Look, it's not too far from the truth. I think it was you know, Pooley was the alpha in that squad, right? It's no you know, no surprise there, right? He was probably one of the first guys there. He was Kingy's favourite. Pooley could get away with anything, right? But I guess, and you know, like, not speaking bad about Pooley, but whenever there was blow-ups, Pooley was involved.
Always. He's the common denominator.
He is the common denominator.
Yeah.
And, you know, and, yeah, there was just like Ali and I would always, like, for example, we'd dive in the pool and Pooley would be standing there chatting to Kingy, delaying him getting in, and Ali's like, yes, we've got 400 up on him, 500, 600. He'd ditch the warm down. We'd be like, mate, we've got to calm him.
Again.
That's going to compound. We're in his head. We're going to get him.
Good.
Right. And then Kingy would fuel that fire with us, right? We'd catch up, have one-on-ones and be like, mate, Pooley's missed like 3K swimming this week. He's turning up. He's distracted with girls.
Yeah.
You know, blah, blah, blah. He's got sponsors coming out his ears, and you guys are going to beat him, you know? And, you know, so it was good. Like, it was, again, like, it would have been a really tricky situation for Kingy to be in, because he's trying to get the best out of every athlete, manage all different personalities as well. But on that day, it was I remember it so clearly, man. It was a pretty, like, overcast, rainy day. We did a Cooley Gold, you know, not a Cooley run through, but similar, like a long session, probably 90 minutes to 2 hours. Steve Turner was there. And, yeah, we just, to be honest, we did a long ski leg, and Ali, myself and Paulie, we kind of pretty much sat together. Ali and I, you know, in my opinion, were stronger than Paulie on the ski at that point. But then he caught us up on the board, right? And I just wash rode him the whole board leg. So probably like, it was probably 30 minutes, 40 minutes on the board. Had a bit of a swim. I swam next to him under his arm the whole way. Yeah. And then there was like, it was probably like a 15-minute shuttle run. Yeah. It was like up and back, up and back. I just sat in his footprints the whole way. Last cone overtook Zia. Yeah. I knew what was coming. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And for me, it was like, I don't want you to think I'm better than you. I just want you to know I'm here and I can beat you.
Cool.
You know, and that's what it was. You just have to show enough to go that, like, dude, I've coasted. You've done the whole work. You've done the work. You've dragged me along all session. But I'm here, right? So it's just living rent free, right? That's what it's about. And I knew it as soon as we crossed the line. He goes, "You're a fucking hero, aren't you, mate?" Right? I remember it so clearly, and I kept walking, and anyway, he said it again. Like you can see the Matt Poole.
I can see it.
The Matt Poole staunch, and I turned around. I said, like, "What are you going to do, mate?"
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to do? You want to throw down?
Yeah.
He's like, Matt, it was there was a lot of bark. Right? There was a lot of bark, and anyway, there were like, a few exchanges that, we won't mention, but it was, I sprayed him, he sprayed me, and I said, if you want to go, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Kingy did stand back, and to be fair, he probably didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And look, like, again, I'm not going to take a backward step.
No.
Like, again, I've seen, we've done plenty of sessions where roles are reversed.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's some people are good on some days, I'm not.
Yep.
And again, but that's us getting the best out of ourselves. We didn't speak for probably a week or 2 weeks, and then we buried the hatchet and moved on.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you land a couple? He's pretty tall.
No, yeah. No, he would definitely have the reach advantage, but like I wouldn't back down.
Yeah,
No,
I'd die
no.
wondering.
I think
I wouldn't die wondering.
I think we're getting a pretty good insight into. I think what would be, whether it be a tag that you admire, that you like, but this never back down mentality that you never give an inch to anyone, doesn't matter who it is. And I think generally the word on the beach is that when someone has to race you, that they're going to have to beat you, and you're not going to let them just have the win. That doggedness, that competitive streak, sounds like you train with it, you race with it. Where does that come from? Where does that fire? Where does that just desire to win at all costs? Where does it come from? Or how do you access it? How do you?
Yeah, I think I think you've either got it or you don't.
Yep.
It's not something you can teach.
Mm.
I've tried to teach that to other crew that I train with, and when you meet someone, you go, they've got it or they don't.
Mm.
But for me, it's like I'm just a type of guy, whether I'm racing, whether it's in life or whatever it is, like I will die with my boots on, right? If, as a kid playing soccer or footy, it was just like, mate, I don't care. I'll throw myself at the biggest dude. I'll hang out there. I don't want to be pulled off. I'll play 80 minutes. I'll do any race. It's like I had to come from, I grew up playing team sports, and I had to get out of that because I couldn't
Control
handle
the outcome like you wanted to.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't handle other people not giving as
Buying
much as
in.
I did.
Yep.
Right. So that's why I went into the individual sport. So, but to be able to do that, you need to train hard.
Yeah.
Right. So I surrounded myself with good people, good coaches, good squads, and I just tried to get the absolute best out of myself. And, some people, I guess, take it the wrong way. But when I turn up to training, like before and after, let's have a chat, let's have a laugh, let's do whatever. But I'm here to train, I'm here to work.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to train with me, like, again, we can chat, I'll give you a bit of advice, but I'm not here to talk.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get it done. And that's how you get the best out of yourself. You'll probably know training with Ali. It's like, you go to a flat water session, him and I were at Kawana Regatta Centre, far 2 lanes, not wash riding. We were grinding ourselves, grinding. We weren't talking to each other. And all the others were wash riding and in packs and having a chat, having a laugh. And I think that's just how we're wired. Right?
So it's like this white line fever that you get. It's not something that like you said, you kind of have it or you don't. It's not something you lean into or anything like that. It's not a personality you play when you jump on the water. This is actually just who you are when it's time to get the work done.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's, again, like I said, whether it's being a dad, whether it's being a husband, like I'm all in. I'm an all-in kind of guy. And if I put my hand up and I say I'm on your team or I'm going to do something, I'll give you my all.
Really
Simple
cool.
as that.
Yeah.
But Max, like we've raced against each other, Australia and New Zealand.
And truly.
There's nothing personal.
No,
it's
just
I'll do what it takes.
And like you know what you're getting, right? You know what I mean? Like you race with you long enough, it's like, hey, don't expect room at the cans. You know what I mean? You're not going to get it. Don't expect.
I think one thing I missed there was the era I grew up in too. Right. My first Ironman Series trial was up at I think at Redcliffe, and I was a good swimmer. Right. I was weak on the scale. I was a young kid. I was 16 or 17, and I was going against the Tim Peach, the Kyle Garrett, like these guys that were, enforcers of our sport.
Men.
And man, I tried to swim over them, and they let me know they were there.
Yeah.
And they flogged me, flogged me, and got to the beach, and it was like, it was just like, mate, good on you for having a crack.
Yeah, right.
Now it's roles are reversed. You swim on someone's legs. You get to the beach, you got a young guy up in your face telling you, don't swim on me or don't cut me off at the can. You're like, mate, rubbin's racing.
Yeah, big time.
You know what I mean? So that's the era Pulley, myself, Ali, Josh Minogue, all those boys grew up in racing. So I think, bringing that now to, I guess, the modern day racing, it's, look, I'm not going to change the way I race for anyone. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. It's not for me to judge. But
Well, look, it's a winning formula.
Absolutely.
You're an Australian champion. You're a series champion. You're an Australian team captain. Let's go into some of those highlights, some of those achievements that you've had over your career. You got a couple of junior Ironman titles under your belt as well. I'll let you steer the ship. Tell us where you want to start. I got a race in particular that I want to definitely want to get to. It's your 2013 first series race win at Surfers Paradise, where you went from last to first. But I'll let you steer the ship. Any particular race that you want to take us through or talk to us about?
Not really. Like, all my Aussie titles have been won at Scarborough.
Yep.
I did 3 in a
Bit
row.
of Pierce Leonard about you.
It is, yeah. Hopefully that's not saying we've got no skills. But one race I think that stands out really clearly is my first under 19 Ironman win at Aussies, and it was against Jacob Lolbach. Jacob passed away probably 5 years or maybe 3 years after that race.
Yep.
Mate, the guy was arguably probably the best board paddler the sport's ever seen.
Yep.
It was board, ski, swim. And you can imagine, like, he had a phenomenal lead. Like, he was at the first can when I dove in to that last swim leg. I was just so lucky he had a really weak swim leg. And by probably 15 meters off the last can, so he's turned the green and yellow, 15 meters in, I caught him. And he swam all over me. We got to the shore. It was like, and the water draws back there.
Yeah, you're on the travelator up the hill.
He tried to get out in front of it. It drew him back. I waited for a little shore. It washed me up in front of him, and I got the jump. One like that race there, he was trying so hard to win it, and I look back and go like, that was a really, really gutsy win from me. But then I think in return, like, he never got to win an Australian Ironman title off the back of that. So I look at that and go like, shit, I probably should have let him have it. But
I know
like,
what you
I would have
mean.
been stoked
It's
for
a
him
mix
to
of
have it.
emotions, right?
It's a very mixed emotions. So that one there was pretty special. My open win in Scarborough was, mate, that was a carnival where I just couldn't do anything wrong. We won the ski relay. We went well in the board relay. I pulled out of the single ski final to save myself for the Ironman, and it was just, I kept going to the front. Like, I've never felt like that since. So for me, it was just, we were staying in the same block as Eckstein and Belinda, his wife, and Shannon and I would see each other we were pretty much on the same routine. We go to the pool, we do our thing, have brekkie, we go for warm up, and it was just, I'd see him and then I think it was on the last day. It was like after the race, Holly told me, she's like, I ran into Belinda the other day. She said, like, Shannon was saying that you were the man to beat. We were racing in semis. He was trying to go in front of me. I wouldn't let him. And it was just, I was just dialed, man. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
So that race was sick.
Because like that's like your version, Daisy in his prime, Shannon in his prime, flat water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's real Ironman racing. Like and certainly the narrative, again, as someone who was over there racing, it was like you definitely were the man to beat that week. And that feeling where you said like you couldn't do anything wrong, that's certainly how it looked from the outside. To go out an Ironman final in Perth and knock over the field that was there, like, you're 100% right. And for me, like, that's probably as good as it gets in terms of like Ironman racing. Like, I think, it was just perfect, right?
I agree. I think, if one race that stands out, like, there's two, right? My first Kellogg's win, and we'll get to that. But yeah, that Aussie Ironman final was like you said, like everyone was in their prime. There were no pretenders.
No excuses. Nobody's injured. Nobody's sick. Nobody's
no pretenders
anything.
on the
You had
on the
everybody
start
at their
line.
best.
Yeah, man. And it was like, beating Eckstein in his prime in flat.
Not many can say they've done it.
To me, I was like, that's my 5 seconds of fame.
For sure.
And then my first Ironman series win at Surfers Paradise.
Can you just talk us through that? So for those who don't know, you got to go back and watch it. Like, I wish we had a link tree so we could put, like, as just a clubby dork, like, I've watched this race so many times. Like, I remember, again, I didn't make the series this year, but I was sitting on the beach just watching it unfold in front of me, and I just couldn't fucking believe, and nobody could. The commentators couldn't, the beach couldn't.
There's races that stick in your mind, and this win of yours sticks into my mind so vividly that I can remember the sand dune I was standing on, the bit of grass, the tougher grass I was there, exact part of the location. I can just remember you getting to the front. I can't remember how you ended up at the back though.
Right?
So-
Because
Lost me ski at the start.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Walk us through it. Tell us the race and like because I
It's
believe
underrated. It is so underrated.
I believe it was a double M.
Yeah, it
Correct?
was
It was like a 40-minute. It was longer.
Yeah, it was interesting.
And I
It
remember
was-
after maybe the first half, you were still 19th. Like
Yep.
you still weren't there, and you had to catch 20 people in the space of
it
20
was-
minutes. So
man,
walk us through it.
It was wild because I think it was set up with like a swim course, a board, and a ski.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was like you do one there, ditch your
And then
That's
board,
it.
Then
That's
you
it.
go like that. Yeah. And it was one of those days. That kind of sand dune brings back memories because there was something happening at the beach. It was like a big travelator sand
was,
dune.
yep.
It was a really good. You could be up high, watch it.
Yep.
And the surf was on. Like,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was.
pumping, and
It was perfect Gold Coast
yeah.
surf.
we
So
I, like again. Ali and I talk about it all the time because we look back and go, we haven't raced in like 5 foot clean glass
ever.
surface paradise front and back brakes.
Mm.
It had everything, right? It had like Pooley leading most of the way to breaking his rudder to punching his ski.
Yeah, that's it. That's the race.
Iconic photo.
Then Ali taking the lead, and then I was we started off. I lost my ski early, got back on, and then it was just, man, I just got left behind. I was out of sync with the ocean. Before you know it, I found myself at the back. I actually looked around. I was like, I'm actually at the back.
Mm.
There were periods where like I was picking up my board, running in. The boys were already coming in, ditching their boards, swimming back out. Like I was a whole leg behind. I think what was really cool was there was back then in and out through the break, the jet ski just stayed on the front pack. So all I had to do was just keep an eye on the jet ski, and I knew where I was.
Yeah.
Just throughout the race, and I don't know, like my brother was handling for me, Bart, and every time I'd come in, he's like, "Mate, you're looking good. Just hang in there. The luck will change." And was just super optimistic. I was like, "Fuck, mate, I'm at the back.
Yeah, how can you keep telling me
they're
this?
a leg ahead of me. How the hell am I coming back from this?" And I just kept executing the basics, and that's what Kingy would say is like, "Do the surf's on, just make no mistakes, and just hit basics. Dive to the bottom, grab the sand, push off, clean pops. On your ski, just be patient, make good decisions. Don't take a wave you're not going to hold. Just little things like that, which you forget when you're in the heat of the moment and the surf's on, especially when you're at the back. You want to go, I'll take a Hail Mary and it'll bring me up to the front.
Yep.
And I didn't do that. The race was, ended up going for 90 minutes. And, before you know it, I started seeing the jet ski just getting a bit closer and a bit closer. And then I jumped on my ski one leg and I see Pooley's ski floating past me. And I was like, oh no. He's lost his ski, and then I was just like, okay, cool. I must be near the front. And I saw Al just getting held up, and then the ocean died for me, and I just went out. Before you know it, I've turned the last cam. We had a board, a swim, and a ski to finish, and I was probably sitting in 5th there, and I think it was Hursty and Shannon were up the front. I don't know who else was up there, but anyway, I got a nice wave off the board, brought me up right in line with Kai. And him and I did the swim leg together, and I was like, I'm going to see if I can outswim him here. And because I backed myself at the time, and I was like, look at you, the arrogant little prick.
Yeah, you're also playing with house money at that stage, right? You're like, I'm back here. I might just like, what else? Like, let's just try. Let's see how far we can push it.
I've never won a race, so
Anyway,
dove under a couple of waves, and before you know it, I popped up in front of him, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to put the head down and go here. We body surfed the same wave. We both held it. Picked up our skis together. He went dead straight, and there was this alley that I just kept heading to on the southern side. I don't know why I was going there, but I kept going there, and I just kept going and going, and then all of a sudden I snuck over a bomb. He got hit by one, and then was just over the next one. So it just gave me probably a 20, 30 meter buffer. Turned that last can. I was like, I'm going for it here, and rode the back of one into the beach. I looked around and I was like, mate, how the hell have I just won that?
mate.
I ran up the beach, looked around, hugged my dad, kissed my girlfriend.
Can you remember, did you have a claim? Can you remember?
I think it was that at the time.
Yeah, that sounds right. You might have the tongue out too.
Yeah, probably just everything. I was just like, again, I saw my dad, I ran past him, and then I actually ran back, gave him a hug. It was just one of those days where I'll never forget that. And
were you just kind of in flow, Kenj? Like, did you get to a point where obviously it started hard, but then did it feel like it got easier as you went, or were you still working really hard, or did you just find yourself making the right decisions and things just were just coming to you?
Well, I think because I was so fit and I had the speed, so all I did was I just went and did it.
Yeah.
Right. I stopped thinking. I wasn't racing anyone. It was just all I needed to do was get out, get in. keep a fast tempo going, and the rest will take care of itself. And that's what I learned that day is like, don't worry about the result, execute process and basics. Result will happen. It's either meant to be or it's not. And don't get too caught up on it.
Yeah. You've been through a few iterations of the series and all its different formats and different sort of, I guess, types of series that there are. How do you see, I guess, the future of the series being?
You're positive, but different. I think, again, like it's really hard to compare because I was a young kid coming into the big scene back then, and there's a lot of young kids now coming into a big scene, so they've got the hype and excitement where I don't have it as much anymore.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it's the stuff around this, like, and to be fair, there's a not a competing series, but there's another series, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't have that back then.
Yeah.
Right. This was the pinnacle stand-up thing where these two now compete against each other almost. But back when I first made it, it was, and we were flown to the Goldie. We had our own bedroom in the the big Soul Peppers building.
Yeah.
There was a full-on launch, media, the whole lot. We had one round, one location. Then we had 6 rounds.
Yep.
That's one thing that I would change. I would do, if it's 6 rounds, we do one race per weekend on the Sunday. I'd just take a few things back from what it was to how it is now, to make it a little bit better.
It's hard not to get like a bit romantic about those days as well, because like you came into it and it felt like it was geared towards like a bit of athlete success or feeling like you were awesome.
made
So
it.
like, exactly, like you finally got it all and you get all these things to have to go back to, booking flights, maybe racing 3 times a weekend. It feels like it loses a bit of that excitement that you had for it when you were young.
Mate, like you guys saw it. Like we traveled together, we stayed together, we raced together, and we all partied afterwards. Like it was I remember it so clearly down at Portsea, right? We all got the same flights down. We all stayed together. I was rooming with Hursty, Clado, Eckstein. We went out and raced at Portsea. It was myself, Hursty, and Shannon on the podium. We all went out for beers afterwards. With every athlete, everyone did it. Now it's like no one's doing it.
No.
And I don't even think it's not about, like, they're trying to be more professional about it, but I'm not saying that's the answer to go out and get on the beers, but it's like, let's go out for dinner.
Yep.
Let's enjoy each other's company. Let's get to know each other.
Yeah, it feels very transactionary now as athletes. It's like you fly in, you get the job done, you try and go home kind of as early as you can. There's none of this, superfluous extra stuff that kind of makes these events really exciting.
But the content that, again, like content's king now, right? And the content we used to get out of it, we used to have filmers walking around day before, day after, shooting content.
Yep.
Not only that, you had like side quests that you're doing, like the Deepwater series that you did over in the States. You got any
best few
memories of
weeks
that
of my
one?
life.
Yeah.
The
Got any stories you can share with us?
2 weeks after where Hursty and I stayed in West Hollywood, it was unreal. Like,
because you won that too.
Yeah, he nearly killed me on a jet ski in Lake Tahoe. I nearly died.
I heard this story from Hursty the other day, actually.
Yeah, and mate, it was an unreal trip. Like, we had no idea what we were going into. I would, like, dead set, I would love to do another one. Like, and be in, Wes or Zane or Courtney's position, like, hosting it. Because if athletes, got a taste of what that's like, it is so cool. So cool. And it's taken you completely out of your comfort zone. We are arguably the fittest athletes in the world. Let's put you through a Murph workout challenge followed by an M-shape Ironman. Let's take you on a 10K desert run out the back of Vegas through the Mojave Desert in 45-degree heat.
Yeah.
And then Ali gets lost.
Yeah.
And then Pooley faints because there's heat exhaustion. And then you get to have, dinner and a fun night out in Vegas.
Yeah.
Then you're back on the plane and you're flying to Lake Tahoe for an awesome, Ironman SUP outrigger, another blow up event. And that's when Hursty nearly killed me on the jet ski. But then we went to a ski resort in summer over there, and part of the thing was we're going to mountain bike halfway up, then you ditch the mountain bike, and then you run to the top of the mountain, the mountain at altitude. And Ali absolutely cleaned us all up on that. It was just the experience. Then finishing off in San Fran, doing like a mini Cooley Gold in San Fran Bay. That's just, it's epic. Like, I just can't express, like, obviously to the young crew that
Mm.
that watched it, how cool it was. And previously we did one in WA, and like I'd love, to get Shaw and Partners race one, the crew behind Tent Talk, the crew behind. But like, imagine that, man. Imagine like you go and do it, and after every race, we're doing an episode.
Yeah.
That's it. Like
You know?
say, content's king, and I think that's a big part of where the athletes are getting really good at driving it themselves, but being able to have some of these creative ideas and getting in behind them and just showing that there's so many great elements to our sport and the athletes involved in them, and some of the personalities would just be amazing to spotlight and highlight.
Like, again, it's off the back of that. This is where, I started to actually understand, how influential Kai Hurst is as a person, right? So we finished up. It was myself and Hursty. We said, Bevy and Pooley, let's drive the coast from San Fran back down to LA. Hursty's got a mate that lives in West Hollywood. We can stay at his place and let's just go have fun for a week.
Yep.
And anyway, they're like, no, we're going home, man. We're going to get back into training and all this. And I was just like, well, I'm not leaving. I'm Hursty. I'm coming with you. We rented a car and punched that coast. It was all the Highway 1 down, and rocked up at his mate's place at about midnight. And anyway, stayed there. Woke up the next day. He was head of at the time he was head of VIP guest relations at the W Hotel in West Hollywood. And he's like, boys, here's some pool passes. Go for it. It's on my tab. We're up, mate. We're up the top of the W Hotel every day, and we'd go with him to work, and we'd just go up, sit at the pool,
How good.
and chill by the pool. Across the pool from us was like Dan Bilzerian and all these different people.
Yeah.
Celebs. And then anyway, he calls us. So we went home that night, went out for dinner and stuff, and he's like, all right, let's hey boys, I need to get you guys a suit or dress nicely. We're going to the VMAs. This is we're going to the VMA Awards, right? And it's like the music video awards. It's big for like the crew that don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's Kai and I, like we're scrambling around. We're like, went and got a shirt. We borrowed some suits from him and some mates, and we scrubbed up pretty well and went to the VMAs. And he's like, all right, boys, we've got this pretty cool after party that's down the road, and went to that. And it was just, mate, like most of the celebs, it was like back then, it was like the OC was super hot, right?
Yeah.
So it was like Misha Barton and all those cool, Harry Kuehl, all these athletes, celebs, actors, actresses, were just all around it. And Kai and I look at each other going, what?
How did we get
different
in?
world,
Like completely. And mate, wouldn't change a thing, right? And that finished at like, I think the awards finished at like midnight, and then the after party kicked off at like 1. And I'm like, Kirsty and I, it was like we were just a kid in a candy store, like just going like, mate, just no idea what was going on. And we ended up walking home at about 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Like by then we're sober. And like again, we were just too like a little bit starstruck. Well, I was anyway. I don't know about Kai, but I was pretty starstruck that I like didn't really want to drink. I wanted to kind of like get autographs,
soak it all
and
in.
photos.
And,
So like that's something which I was like, man, if I didn't, just be open-minded and commit to something, an opportunity, like I wouldn't have had that experience. So it's I look at one of the biggest kind of lessons I've learned from this sport is it's, taught me to work really, really, really hard for not necessarily a massive financial gain, but the opportunities that it's opened up in parallel to that, just completely
Once in a
outweigh it.
lifetime experiences, aren't
Yeah.
they? Let's continue down that path then. You are now starting to get towards the end of your career, and you've had sort of businesses on the run throughout your career, but you've had Louis Media, you're currently working on you've got the Morning Club here. Just talk us through some of those ventures and I guess where you see those going and what your passion is behind those and why you do lean in so much, because it seems like you're all or nothing, and I don't know, you might not have a off button installed in the Kendrick Louis model.
No, I to be honest, I probably don't. I'm learning to. I think anything that really excites me, right? And I think the lifestyle that I have lived for the last 15 years, all I guess, revolves around these sort of things, you know.
Yep.
So like you are a longevity app, right? And it's about how to better yourself in, you know, movement, mindset, relationships, and habits to improve your longevity and life expectancy, right? That's that in a nutshell. You know, Louis Media is a business where it's a digital marketing agency, right? And I'm fascinated by where the world's moving in the digital space. So, you know, whether it's building a website or, you know, amplifying campaigns through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be, like I'm fascinated in that world too. And then the morning club is just, it was an idea through COVID, where in Sydney we were locked down for a fair bit of time and we could go exercise 1 hour by yourself. And I'd go for a run or a paddle or a swim, and I'd see so many different people out there doing their own different thing. And I kind of like came home one morning and said to Holly, like, imagine if you could create a brand around the morning, you know? And it's like, whatever you're doing, you feel like you're part of that club.
Yeah.
And that's when she said, what about like the morning club, you know? And I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yep.
Next door neighbor at the time was a graphic designer. And I said, mate, here's my inspo. This is my thoughts. Hey, can you just whip me up some logos and stuff? And he did it and nailed the brief. And then I sat on it for probably 2 or 3 years. And then I had a coffee with a mate, Mike Dalton, who was living over in New York, you know, familiar with like run scenes and gyms and, you know, big brand campaigns and bringing things to life. And I said, like, mate, this is what I've been sitting on. This is what I'm thinking. Run clubs are starting to pop up here and there. He's like, dude, let's just, me, my brother, you, and another guy, Luke, let's just go for a run, right? One morning and let's do it. And 4 led to 6 and then 8 and then 15. And then it was like 16 for a bit. And then it just grew. It was like 30, 50, 60, 80. Like now we've got a, you know, WhatsApp community of like 400 plus.
Wow.
And it's mate, you don't have to run. It's we get people that turn up, walk their dog, come down for a coffee just to connect, start their day off to a good start.
It's a social outing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, we've created a community. Hey, if you've lost your job and looking for a job, like people in there have got things going on that can help.
Yeah, networking.
You know, and I think, you know, and I don't know about your guys' experiences, but I feel in surf clubs, we should have that network community, but we don't. There's a bit of that, like, you know, almost I don't want to help you out, or it's a conflict of interest where, you know, like I would love a surf club to go like, hey, we need a plumber, we call you. Hey, you need a photographer? Yeah, Max is a photographer, let's get him in. Anyone can build a website? Yeah, Reno, let's bring him in. You know,
gotcha.
like they don't do that. They go, oh, let's put it out to tender to someone else.
Yeah, big time.
And that just grinds my gears.
That resonates very much, certainly with Gold Coast clubs. I completely agree.
So yeah, we wanted to create something where it was like a bit of its own sustainable ecosystem where you can help people, like some of the stories, man, of like mental health issues and, you know, marriage breakdowns and stuff like that. And they've joined us and found community, and it's just through running in the morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. And then I'm obviously a dad and a husband, and you know, that's, to be honest, that's probably my most important part. I heard a song recently by Luke Combs, and it's a kind of it's a new album he's put out called Father and Sons, and one song that just resonated with me the most. And when I heard it, and I was just like, that is what I want to be known for by my son, is like I want to be front door famous, right? And it's like when you come in the door, your kid is starstruck to see your dad,
Fired up to see dad,
you know,
that's
and
cool.
you hear that song and you just go like, you know what, that's. To me now, it's like, cool, winning a race is great, but like my kids don't know what it is. I want to come in the door or pick him up from kindy and he'd be like, dude, I'm so stoked to see you.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Feel front door famous, you know? Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. In terms of the off switch, man, I don't think I've got one. My wife would probably be able to tell you if I do or don't, but I'm trying to. I'm really trying hard to slow when I need to.
What are some ways that you slow down and relax? Is it time with the kids and the family and Holly? And
yes and no.
Yes and no.
Like Leo's a million miles an hour. He's our 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And look, I think Holly and I are cut from the same cloth in the sense of we go-getters, you know, whether it's work, family, opportunities, holidays. It's like we just go. You know, I think for me now, I'm really trying to take time out of my mornings. Like if I'm not training, I'm still up really early, and whether I'll go out for a run or I'll go to, you know, a coffee, sit down and just make some notes and just just set
It's your
myself
time.
up. Yeah, because like I find if I don't do that, like I said to you boys earlier, like, you know, I think we're in, what are we, 1st of August, and
Yep.
I haven't done much training since Aussies. So I entered Sydney Marathon. I was lucky enough to get a spot there, and I've never done a marathon, right? So I'm training for that, and that's 4 days a week. So any off day, I need to keep my head clear. Going from training 16 sessions a week down to 4, I don't think the transition people don't quite understand from an athlete to life outside sport is what you've always known and what's made you feel good for the last 15 years is removed or like dialed down significantly. So I, you know, when I get up in the morning, if I get out, have some time, clear my head, get myself better, I'm a better person when I walk back in the door for my wife and little boys.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
awesome. That's
Kenj, it seems like you're like certainly really at peace with, well, a career that anybody would die to have, but like certainly the next chapter of your life. Like you're obviously you've still got racing to do, and you know, I'm not saying that you're retiring anytime soon, but it certainly seems like you know, not that the competitive flames burned out as such, but it just seems like you're really comfortable in whatever's next for you. Do you feel like that's translated onto the water at all? Like having your ducks in a row before, you know, the Ironman dream finishes up, knowing that, you know, you've got your fingers in all these pies, that you've got something to kind of lean into straight away?
I think so. I don't think there's, you know, such thing as, you know, your ducks in a line, but I think you can put some irons in the fire, and not all of them are going to pay off. I hope they do, but I don't think they will.
Yep.
And you know, and just being open minded. Like I just think now there's, you know, opportunities come and go, and you know, don't be one of those people that lets an opportunity go. Because I was that when I was younger. It was like training all or nothing, you know. And, you know, listening to Poole when he spoke to you guys, he was like 50% trained, 50% working on my personal brand and my sponsors. And that reflected, right? Like he did really well in racing, did really well off the field. It's translated to life after sport. So I think that's a big part of it. You know, there's a book that I read by a guy, David Shane, and it's called The Dumbest Guy at the Table. And what that means is like, you always want to try to be the dumbest guy at the table because you know you're at the right table.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
If you're if you're the smartest guy at every table,
You're at the
it's
wrong
like,
tables.
you're not expanding yourself.
Yep.
You're not growing. So, you know, that's what I try and do. I surround myself with people that are so much smarter than me. And, you know, just hard workers. Like, for example, like Earl, right? And I can't keep up with the stuff that guy does. And I think I'm busy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And there's a reason why he's, you know, successful and can give back to all these sort of things. And, you know, so look, I hope so. I hope when I decide to, like, you know, put a fork in it, there's a lot of things that, you know, I can look back on and be proud of. And I'm always looking for new challenges. And I feel that, like, you know, without saying I'm done with the sport, I feel like I've achieved what I've wanted to achieve. I'm at peace with that.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to win a Taplin relay with the Manly Surf Club boys. More for them than for me, and the club. But other than that, like I just like having a good time. I like staying fit, and I just like keeping busy. You know,
It's probably a chapter that unfortunately kind of glossed over. But your time at Manly, obviously coming back to somewhere where you love, New South Wales, and being at Manly, I'm gonna guess you finish your career under the sky blue of Manly. And since you brought it up, when is curtains? Is it coming? Is it a way off? What do we see in the next 12 months, 24 months, 36 months out of Kendrick Louis?
Yeah, definitely not 36 months. Definitely probably not 24 months. Look,
because I spoke to you 2 years ago at the launch of the Sharon Partners World Ocean Series,
that was it.
and you said, this is it, Duff. This is the last season. And then I reckon we still see...
He's waiting for Deepwater 3.
Oh, yeah, I am.
We're still
trying to stay relevant.
We're still in here. We're still seeing the best of Kendrick Louis.
Don't worry, I've already picked my talent for Deepwater 3, so I might pitch that one soon. Mate, look, I don't know. It's a good question. I have this conversation with myself almost daily. Again, like I want to challenge myself. Again, and with all respect, the way I see that is it's like winning another Ironman race it's not a challenge to me that I want to sign up and do. I know what's involved, and I know the toll it takes on me, my family, and my wife. don't get me wrong, I'd love to still come out and smash an Aussie title, but doing an Ironman series, like, look, it's hard, right? Because it's so exciting, all these new formats and things that are coming. And I'm like, this is starting to suit me a little bit better. And you know, and the effort and the stuff, you know, the support that Earl and Sean Partners and Dino and Jimmy and those guys are putting in, it's so good. I don't know, like I want to see how it goes. Like again, this year could be it. Whether that's, you know, like I said to you boys, I won't be doing the trial this year. You know, I was relying on a wild card.
I don't think they coming back.
I don't think they give them out anymore. I think Hayden White would still be going for one. And he'd probably get it anyway. But yeah, I won't do that. I won't do that this year.
Undecided, unwritten,
I won't do that this year. I'll do like the, you know, to be honest, I haven't never really been able to give the World Ocean Series a crack.
Okay.
And be able to turn up knowing that, like, you know, I can put my foot down for an 8 to 10 minute Ironman. It's always been like, you got to get ready for a 50-minute and now an 8, and then it's more endurance. So, like, who knows? I feel like I'm gearing towards more of a fair weather athlete.
Yeah, nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up or touch on?
Yeah, just quickly. Like, obviously, Ken, you went through some injuries, you know, in the last few years. And you said you wrestle with the idea of retirement every day in your own head. What's the last, you know, couple of years been like dealing through injury? Obviously, like you've been at the very top of the sport your whole career. What's it been like to, you know, go through shit like that basically, and then still try and get up the next day for swimming? Like, what's that like?
Oh, yeah, it is what it is. That's sport. It's life. There's a lot of hard things going on in other people's lives, but at the same time, this is my life. And the way I view it is I put a lot of time and effort into certain things to get my body a certain way and sacrifice a lot. And then, you know, when setbacks come, you can't really describe it, right? I think emotions say enough to people. I think what you do tend to realize is, like, you know, I could go back through my phone and probably count on one hand the people that touch base with you after you get injured.
Interesting.
And I'm probably not the only athlete that'll, you know, and that's not counting social media, because everyone can, you know, comment or something on your social, but getting a phone call or a text message, man, there's dead set, take family aside, there wouldn't be more than 5. And that's okay. That's okay. Like, I'm a big boy and I've got my people around me and they know who they are. And I think that's, you know, that's one, I guess, misconception of me maybe, is that, like, I don't need a big circle of mates. I don't want a big circle of mates. You know, if you're my mate, you kind of know about it, and simple as that. And again, that's kind of how I roll, and I'm okay with that. You know, like, as long as my family, you know, a few key mentors and my mates around me, you know, that they'll tell me to pull my head in if I need to. But again, like, I actually couldn't care less what a, you know, a 25-year-old, 23-year-old says to me after a surf race or an Ironman race. It's like, I do.
To be fair, I don't think you've ever cared. So that's awesome.
It's but hey, you do you.
That's right.
But look, I think the sport in a whole, it's in a good space. I really like, you know, I really like the way, like, say, Finn and Lucy are going about this sport. You know, if I had $1 million,
is that who you see?
They're the
yourself
pinups. They're the pinups of the sport at the moment.
Yeah.
You don't have to say they're Lucy, arguably, she won the Iron Series. But
Finn's a world champion.
Yeah, Finn's a world champ. So again, they've got results to back it up. But I just think they're ticking all the boxes.
Yeah.
Good on the field, good off the field. You know, they're a marketer's dream. I think what we need to do as individual athletes is create your own brand. Like, you know, I could scroll through, you know, probably all the top athletes in our sport, their social feeds are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think we've touched on that before, haven't we?
You've had to grow up with that for a while.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
and
like,
it's,
how many times can you see the same 10 seconds of a board skim into a board wave into a shot? It's just sort of where we are now at the sport, where we've only got so many content creators doing it that they're all kind of using the same. It's all the same
think
product.
Outside the box, right? It's like, hey, what do you do day to day? And if that's all you do, sweet.
No dramas.
No dramas. But the stuff of Ali kicking the footy with his little boy and stuff, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's a father son. It's a different part of his brand. And you know, I see, like, the likes of even, you know, Corey Fletcher's doing pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Finn and him are good surfers. Start showing that a bit more. you only do so much on a surf ski and a clubby board. So, anyway, I'll be donning the boots against Trimmy.
I know, yeah. We
Yeah,
got
hopefully.
that's tonight.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
Speaking
we'll
of
see.
diversity,
Yeah, we'll see you yourself.
Plenty of strings on the bow.
Yeah, yourself, Riley Fitz,
Riz,
and
yeah.
Mitch Trim. So we'll be out there at Brookvale tomorrow afternoon for the Gotcha for Life Cup.
Yep.
Manly versus the Roosters,
And I
and
would
the
love
celebrity
to
match in the half time.
I would love to see Ali pull the boots on.
Yeah.
In Roosters
precious.
colours.
Oh, he's got a fresh pair of Nikes the other day. They're purple. He might have got them off Took.
Yeah,
$300. Get them going.
Oh, come on out. It would have been good.
So just real quick, you have some brands that you want to plug real quick, Kenj, while you're on here. You got a couple,
I've got
obviously.
my water bottle here.
Or just tell us a bit about the brands, where they can find you, Instagrams, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think the common ones for me and the ones closest to my heart are Shore and Partners.
Yep.
And Race One. Mate, like Earl and I met each other best part of 10 years ago. You know, I was after Boothie and Chill, and you know, I called him up and just said, "Hey, mate, like you don't know who I am. I'm an Ironman, and if you want to come down and watch." And this was I was kind of like one of the first Ironmen to partner with him, and you know, we've grown a friendship over the last 10 years, and he's a good mate. He supports me through thick and thin. You know, he's never one of those guys that goes, "Oh, mate, you're injured for the whole season, and I'm not gonna look after you financially." It's like, mate, that's it. We win together, we lose together.
Yep.
You know, where on the other hand, you get other people trying to negotiate and back out of helping you out. So, you know, they're top of my list at the moment. These guys, Hyro, Steve-O's a good mate of mine. He's a young guy. Him and his wife, Tay, have started an electrolyte business. She was pregnant, and he was finished up at an old business and had a crack at this, and they're doing wonders. Front page of Forbes today.
Wow.
So
It's huge.
Mate,
Front page of Forbes.
If anyone's dehydrated,
Episode of
let
10
me
Talks.
know.
It's all the same,
Hyro
isn't
and
it?
him.
Yeah, it's all
Get
the
some
same.
salts in here. But mate, I think lastly, thanks to you boys, you're you know, you guys are doing good things for the sport, and I think it's, you know, it's generating noise, right? And I think that's what we need, getting it out there. You know, I'll be sharing this across all my socials and even LinkedIn and stuff like that. I want people to see.
I did read
what
some of
we're
your
doing.
articles on LinkedIn. They're quite good.
Yeah,
I
I'll
like
try
them.
to be insightful.
Yeah, no, they are. They're quite insightful.
Doesn't
Yeah.
suit me.
I read your latest one. It was good. I liked it. Enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, mate, appreciate it. Love what you boys are doing. Keep it up. If I can help, let me know.
Will do.
Of course, mate. We'll be reaching out for sure. You'll be able to help us in many ways. But Ken, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you race again
In
this year.
whatever capacity.
In whatever
that is.
capacity it is, and
Masters.
hopefully, I'll be up on the line next year. No,
Beauty.
definitely not. The comeback is not real. But if that's been 10 Talk,
We're out.
It's time for a 10
10 Talk with Duff and Beats. It's 10 Talk with Duff and Beats. It's everybody get it, 'cause 10 Talk is here. I said 10 Talk.